allergies are like a fire, and in the fire, if you have allergies, the fire is always going, and you might have some coals that are just smoldering and everything's under control and it feels good. But then if you add pollens on top of that, the fire gets bigger. And if you add fleas on top of that, or if you add a new shampoo that you're allergic to, that makes the fire out of control.
Right.
A lot of times people think because of the time of the year and the fall and the leaves are changing, there's different pollens and stuff out there, that it's automatically an allergy, which it is true that dogs and cats, when they have allergies, they are different than we are. When we have allergies, we get runny eyes and runny nose and all the hay fever kind of signs, but dogs and cats a lot of times have problems with their skin. So they break out. So they can actually breathe in the pollen and then they break out with their skin. So that's a good guess to start with.
Right.
But oftentimes people call me on the phone and I just like, so I can't even say over the phone without seeing the dog, because it's so many things it can be. Dogs that are truly allergic, you mentioned the Apoquel is the oral pill that they take every day for allergies, and then there's injections for the allergies, and there's medicated shampoos and some supplements we can do, omega-3 fatty acids and special foods and things like that. And every dog and every cat is different, and a lot of times it can be frustrating at first because we can't find the perfect combination that's going to work for your dog.
Right. I think that's important, is kind of trying to figure out like what has changed, like in the environment, just with the weather, if your dog's been anywhere new, if you've changed things in the house, like different laundry detergents, or like litter for cats, or food changes, and then that brings up, are they allergic to something in the food? So then we talk about food trials and stuff, if it doesn't resolve.
So if you have allergies, a lot of times we can find that magic combination and kind of get the balancing act, but then there's going to be, it's like it's been described to me as a fire. Allergies are like a fire, and in the fire, if you have allergies, the fire is always going, and you might have some coals that are just smoldering and everything's under control and it feels good. But then if you add pollens on top of that, the fire gets bigger. And if you add fleas on top of that, or if you add a new shampoo that you're allergic to, that makes the fire out of control. And we can use different medications and interventions to try and control it.
Are there certain things that you can do to help prevent against like allergic reactions to things that might be in the environment, or like fleas and things like that at home?
Well, fleas is one thing we can really prevent. So what we find is that dogs that have allergies almost always are allergic to fleas. So if we can take away the flea problem and solve that, then it takes one step out of that fire, takes some of that fuel out of the fire, so it calms everything down. You may still have allergies to pollens and grasses and stuff like that, and you can kind of manage some of that seasonally in the way you walk them in your environment at home. But the way I like to think about allergies in pets is I try to break it up into 3 groups. And I think flea allergy is one thing by itself because we see it so much, it's such a huge problem. And then environmental or seasonal allergies, or atopy we may call it, and it's the things that we're allergic to outside is the same thing your dog's allergic to. And this time of year the leaves are falling, and when the leaves fall, more mold grows on the leaves. There's lots of mold spores in the air. People turn their heat on for the first time, and there's dust in the house, and they can be allergic to dust mites. They can be allergic to almost anything we are, and so they can break out from that. And that's something that you can treat. You can put the filters in it's good for you for your own air conditioning system. Put the HEPA filters, and you can filter out a lot of allergens. If your dog likes to go outside and roll in the grass and he's allergic to grass, he's like, I'm allergic to grass and it's making me itch, so what do? I'm going to go rub myself in the grass because it's itchy. That makes it worse. Yeah. So you can kind of retrain them. It's like, let's walk on the sidewalk, let's walk in the gravel yard, let's modify our behavior a little bit. It can really help. And the third type of allergies is food allergies. And you hear a lot of press about it. People talk a lot about what they're feeding, and they try and experiment with different foods and stuff like that. I think that's a kind of a go-to thing because of all the advertising on TV and the marketing. But actually, food allergy is the rarest of allergies. So if you come into the office, oftentimes your veterinarian will say, well, let's not talk about food right now because it's unlikely. But unless your dog has some certain specific signs that kind of tip us off as like, this looks like a food allergic dog. And it might be where he's itching and how badly he's breaking out and the how he responded to the course of prednisone he was on, and what breed of dog he is, and things like that.
Right.
You know.
So if a dog was suspected of having a food allergy, where would you go from there?
So if they're allergic to the food, then they're allergic to a protein in the food, really. And dogs are almost never allergic to plant proteins. You know, people have gluten allergies, which is gluten is the wheat protein that's in wheat.
Right.
So people eliminate wheat and bread from their diets because they have gluten allergies. It almost never happens in a dog. So we don't worry about gluten or grain-free kind of foods.
Right.
We worry about the meat proteins. We worry about the chicken, the beef, the pork, the turkey, you know. And a lot of these common meats are byproducts of the human industry. So a lot of beef out there, a lot of pork, a lot of chicken, and that's in all the foods. And a dog food company has lower standards than a human food company. So when they make the dog food, they process it down an assembly line. They're making tons and tons of dog food in a day.
Right.
And so they might make the chicken and gravy dinner, and then after they're done that, after lunch, everybody comes back and we're going to make the beef and stew dinner, you know, and they don't have to clean the machines because the chicken in there is perfectly clean and healthy, and it's not going to make a dog sick. But if you're allergic to it, there's just a trace of chicken in the beef product. It says beef, and it's got chicken in it, then you can break out. Right. But they're not required to say that on the label. So this is a long story getting around to eliminate those proteins. You have to put them on a special food, a special diet, and you have to eliminate all the other proteins from their diet. And so what we like to use is a hydrolyzed food. It's actually a chicken protein. If a chicken protein is this big and it's hydrolyzed, where it's broken down into smaller fractions, then the body's immune system can't recognize it as a chicken protein.
Right.
And so they're getting the same amount of protein, it's just not setting off the allergy system. And so the Ultimino by Royal Canin is a food that is really good because it's been double hydrolyzed, and so it's the least allergic food out there. And it's a different kind of food, and their body has to adapt to it. So it's like you can't just start that food, because a lot of times it'll upset their system. Yeah, you want to make a slow transition. Like first day, just add a handful of food, and the second day, you know, mix a little more in, then go half and half for a couple days, and then gradually switch them over. But once they're on that food, we have to stay on that food and nothing else.
No treats?
No treats for 90 days. So I would like to try to even eliminate the heartworm pill, the flavored, chewable heartworm preventative, because that can have beef proteins in it.
Right.
And rawhide chews, and some of the beef flavored toys, you know, some of the rubber toys have flavoring in them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so, and then of course anything from the table. You have little kids that sit in a high chair and throw things on the floor, that it's almost, so we like to talk about these things ahead of time,
like
because,
how realistic
you know,
is it going to be?
Right, in some households it's just impossible, you know.
Right.
We don't want them going and licking the cat's dish after the cat's done, or anything like that, so. But if we eliminate all those things, and if they have a true food allergy, it is absolutely amazing. It's a miracle to watch these dogs that have been on all these different medicines, and you put them on this food and it just clears up, and they stop taking everything. You're like, ta-da, it's solved, you know?
Awesome.
So,
and they can get those foods from here?
Yeah, that would be a prescription diet, so they have to get it here, and we'd have to help them through that and measure it out for them and get them on a plan.
Okay.
I think that's probably enough about itchy skin. If anybody, if you have any comments or you would like any questions, comment below, and we will get back with you and try and work that out.
So it's very common.
There's the. What is it? What is it? He gets. Oh! Oh, you saying it. You saying it. Oh, hello. You are. Oh, Boozy. It just smells bad. You can't eat it.